Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of r/Entitled Parents. In today's episode, my mom tells me that I'm supposed to deal with abuse because she's the parent. Entitled mom once left her child to wander around a strip mall I worked at. Entitled father demands my friend to let him and his family on the plane. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe so you will never miss a video. So let's get started. My mom tells me that I'm supposed to deal with abuse because she's the parent. Recently my mom, 36, and I, 18, got into a huge argument about me wanting to move out, which led to my mom physically harming me. I'm not talking about a slap on the wrist or her threatening me with a spoon. The fight resulted in me having a black eye, 2 cracked ribs and bruised ankles. I then contacted authorities, but I don't want to press charges. She takes care of my brother, but I am also afraid of the abuse trickling down to him once I leave. She's been abusive my whole life. My mother is Asian and believes that everything she does is right and she can never be wrong. I tried telling my grandmother about the incident and she told me it would have never happened if I didn't stick up for myself. My dad then told me I just have to sit there and let her do whatever she wants because she's the parent and I'm the child. I then explained to her that when I move I won't be contacting her and I'll live my own life. That made her very upset and I've yet to answer any of her calls. You should press charges. If your father was out of the picture, I could understand not wanting to leave your brother without an adult, but he is there. By reporting your mother, you can also bring CPS into the situation to try to ensure your brother is safe. Your family needs to understand that such behavior is not acceptable. My parents aren't together. They don't have joint custody and my father is an ex-felon. I'm not sure what CPS would do. Report this and press charges. If not for yourself, then to protect your brother. Cases like this can possibly result in her losing her brother forever. Certain cases allow for no family members getting ownership and them having to bring him in and wait for another family to adopt or until he's 18. If she told them that neither the grandmother, father or mother was helpful, then this could possibly happen. Unless she took custody of her brother, which very well could happen. So deal with the abuse by putting a stop to it. Press charges and get your brother somewhere safe. Oh, for the love of. Press charges. Despite what anyone says, she has no right to lay hands on you. I'm sorry that happened. Start making a plan to move out, but don't tell her until after you've moved, and don't tell her your new address. Call CPS if she abuses your brother. You need to press charges so that CPS will know/believe that there really is something wrong going on in your household. Entitled mom once left her child to wander around a strip mall I worked at. This story happened sometime between 2009 to 2010 in the fall. I was working at a pharmacy called CVS as a photo tech. Anyway, I was doing some returns because it was a little slow when I heard a woman and her child who was about 4 in the next aisle. The conversation went something like this. What are you doing here? You were supposed to wait in the car with, man's name. Kid, he fell asleep and I was scared so I came to find you. Note, it's dark now as it is about 6 p.m. and it gets dark early this time of year. It was late fall or early winter. Go back and wait in the car. I am waiting for the pharmacy to get the order read. So the poor little boy walks to the front doors by himself. I was about to run and stop him and tell him he can wait with me when I get paged to the front. My coworker on register saw the whole thing too and admitted he wanted to stop the kid but felt like he would get in trouble since he was a stranger. Well, we were next door to a Subway and a few minutes later the manager there comes over and says that a small boy has wandered in and says his mom is here shopping. He has the kid with one of his employees because he was worried if he wandered into the parking lot he may get hit by a car, and he bought him some chips because the child said he was hungry. I asked my coworker to watch photo for a minute and I am going to see if it is the same boy we saw leaving earlier and for him to patch for our manager. He agrees. I go next door and find the poor kid sitting with an employee and two other customers eating some chips, and I tell the subway manager I know who his mom is and to come back with me. I didn't want him to overhear me talking about his mom, but once we get back to CVS I tell him about the conversation I heard with him and his mom earlier, and he was appalled. The little boy had not said his mom told him to walk back to the car by himself, only that his mom was next door shopping. He thought he had just wandered away from his mom, as kids sometimes do. By now my manager is at the front of the store and asks the subway manager if he got a name of a parent, and the subway manager says no, so my manager just gets on the intercom and says, if there is a woman here with a son about 3 to 4 years old, please come to the front. So the EM, or was she a neglectful mom, comes up front, and I whisper to my manager, that's his mom. She cops an attitude and asks what we want. I noticed she already had her prescription order and was shopping for cosmetics at this point. The subway manager explains her son wandered into the subway next door, but that he was safe and was sitting with one of his employees. She scoffed and said something like, I told him to wait in the car with, male's name again. My manager, I overheard that your husband fell asleep and wasn't watching his son. Maybe your son should stay with you? It's very dark in the parking lot right now and he could have been hit by a car? The subway manager, he can stay with us about 10 more minutes, but then my employee is going to go home and I can't watch your son. I don't mind that he got a bag of chips on us. She paid for it for him, but please don't let it happen again. He could have been hit by a car. She snaps at them that the man in the car is not her husband nor his father, and how she is a single mother and was trying to get her boyfriend's medication, and this is no way to treat a customer, and she is going to call corporate. She starts using racial slurs and profanities till my manager gets fed up. My manager, put down your basket and take your prescription that is paid for. Go next door and get your son, and then you have two options, go home or bring him in here and keep an eye on him. If you don't, I am going to call the police and report you for neglect and have CPS on you. I am a parent with 3 kids myself, and what you did was dangerous and stupid. He could have been hit by a car or abducted. You should be grateful this manager was nice enough to have an employee watch him, and she was nice enough to buy him a snack. I would have called the police. She complained about how she was never coming back, and he told her good, and if she did she better have her son with her or she was calling the police. She did as she was told, and the subway manager escorted her back to his subway and politely walked her back to her car where her boyfriend was dead asleep. He heard them arguing as she got her son the car seat and drove them home. He came back to speak with me and my manager and told us about the scenario and that he regretted not getting her plate number because now he was worried about the kid, and thanked my manager for putting her in her place. When I was a teenager, I worked in our small town mall, back when malls used to be a thing. The pharmacy at the time doubled as a gift shop, and there was a toy section. They had to put up signs all over saying not to leave children there unsupervised, but it was still incredible the number of parents who just dropped their young children off and left to go shopping in other stores. Sometimes kids would be there for hours. After one particular rowdy group of siblings damaged a bunch of merchandise by just opening up all the toys they wanted to play with, the manager finally had enough and put into place a policy where we called the cops on abandoned children. The number of huffy and offended mothers demanding to know what they should do with their children now was depressing. I dunno, maybe be a parent and watch them? The random teenager at the gift wrapping station in the pharmacy isn't your daycare. Honestly, it sounds like the boyfriend was passed out and not just asleep. Given the context of the little boy being scared, he may not have been scared of the dark, he may have been scared of the boyfriend or scared of the boyfriend passing out. Little kids don't know what that is really, but usually know the difference between sleep and passing out. They know something isn't right. It's probably what the little boy was reacting to. Leaving your kid with someone who was passed out and who the child doesn't know that well is the most disturbing part of this. I know, or even if he was just sleeping, it was a pretty creeping parking lot after dark. I wouldn't want to sit there for a while in a car, and I am an adult. I still think about that poor kid, what happened to him after. This is so sad. Poor boy. My mom regularly left me and my sister in the car when she had errands. She'd go work out at the local gym or grocery shop, and 4-year-old me sat in the car with my 6-year-old sister and waited. And waited. And waited. The windows had to be up and the door locked so we weren't kidnapped. Hyperthermia wasn't a thing, apparently. This was late 70s/early 80s, and yes, things were different then. Now that I'm a mom, I cannot imagine doing that to my kids. I feel guilty for leaving them in a car for 30 seconds to return my cart to the cart corral. If she picked up a RX, wouldn't information be on file? The pharmacy cannot give that information to anyone, not even the store manager. Entitled father demands my friend to let him and his family on the plane. This didn't happen to me personally, but I was a direct witness to all of it. Characters, cause this is pretty long. F/friend. Me/OP. FB/friend's brother. MK/male Karen. MKW/male Karen wife. Backstory: my friend is rich, like really rich, like owns 2 private jets. Rich, you get the point. She and her brother are some real estate developers for rich clientele all over Asia. I was needing to get to Singapore to head back to Europe since my flight origin is in Singapore and my original flight from Indonesia was cancelled. I told my friend this, and she and her brother had business in Singapore on the day I depart from there. So they offered me a seat on one of their jets while we all go together to Singapore. I was super thankful. 2 days before, his chef texted me to let me know that in total there are 4 of us flying to Singapore, this important, and such details like weight and suitcase weight. Come to the day of the flight, I came first while FB was checking the plane. He was flying the plane, then F arrived. I asked quickly who the 4th passenger was and F said it was a friend of the father's who needed to get to Singapore as well. Then MK arrived, not just him though, his wife, and 4 kids. They just poured out of the car and started running to the plane. My friend stopped them obviously and demanded an explanation as MK said it was only him. The convo was in Cantonese, but F translated for me later on. F, what the hell is this? MK, you said it was only you. MK, yes originally, but seeing as I am in Singapore for a week I wanted to bring my family along, they just called it last minute. F, MK, we only have 4 seats on this plane. It's me, OP, you and FB, we have a small jet, it's not going to fit 5 more. MK, well you just sit in the cockpit and kick him out, what's he doing here anyways? F, he is my friend and I invited him, whereas you on the other hand is a guest. You asked me the other day what plane it was, I told you which one and you still brought more people. This is unacceptable. Put them on commercial flight but not here. MK, we still have luggage, I'm not paying extra if going commercial. And MK showed 7 or 8 bags, and these were not like duffel bags, these were huge metal hard suitcases. Probably already 4 to 5 kilograms for the bag alone. MKW, when are we boarding? It's so hot, just let the kids board, come on. FB, excuse me, I'm the pilot here, and no one is boarding. Only the 4 people that was asked what man. MK, I am not asking now, I am demanding you let me and my family on this plane, or I'll tell your father you disobeyed me, disobeyed your elders. F, you are forgetting that this plane belongs to the 2 of us, so we have much of a right to control who and what is getting into the plane. We are not arguing about this. It's either you get on this plane and you only, or get out. We are not dealing with this. MK, but I have children. F, so does everyone else in the world, what makes them special? We have business to do, so come on. MK, no, this is bullshit, I hate this, just let my kids and wife in, I'm begging you. F, what part of the small jet did you not understand? It's still 5 people, it's extremely unsafe since the kids are already far from being babies. MK began to get red with anger and started flinging the suitcases all over the place. One narrowly missing the plane's wing. MKW was trying to mellow the situation and even telling MK it was worth a shot but they can fly commercial and that they have the money. MK wouldn't let up, he was wailing around, throwing suitcases. Even tried to grab mine, which MKW said no. And he didn't. MKW at this point started gathering the kids to bring to the car. MK still screaming and throwing his bag even and almost hit F. At a last dash of desperation, MK started ordering F and FB as if he was the parent, threatening to ground them, threatening to call their parents or even the Transportation Safety Board and whatnot. He even tried to take a swing at F, only for him to lose his balance and fall to the ground. F was really far and he didn't even make contact. MK then literally started crying, saying all kinds of nonsense. By this time MKW had already put the kids into their car and MKW was just standing from afar seeing her husband having a tantrum. We all just stood there staring at each other and MK while he is on the ground freaking out. F, 2 choices, you or not? MK, I won't go unless my family is on board. F, fine then, just us 3, come on OP. MKW, take this trash away, I'm not dealing with this anymore. MKW did just that, but with still some resistance. MK crying and saying it's not fair and that the children aren't susceptible to adults anymore, referring to F and FB. MKW said F and FB were adults and were having adult conversations, but MK was the child. They left and we left. I could tell F was strained and fell asleep during the entire flight. Flight was good BTW. The rare and elusive male Karen. I've heard several stories, all spectacular and in true form by the way, but never encountered one in the wild. Sorry your friend had to deal with that immature man baby. I call them Kevins. Consider yourself lucky for not having witnessed one. My father is a male Karen. The number of times I've left something in the store or forgot to buy something when I was really running back in to apologize to the cashier, assistant, salesperson, or server is far more than is acceptable. It's horrifying. And that's why I avoid him now that I'm an adult. Man, if I was you, I'd buy my friend and her brother the nicest bottle of wine I could afford after that. What a lunatic. Oh, don't worry of that. I bought them their favorite whiskey brand as a thank you. Despite their wealth, they actually come from poverty. They hate expensive rich people food and only enjoy the simple foods. One of the rare types. They even drive the most basic of cars. Live in an apartment like a fortress BTW, and they really know how to hide their wealth. I'll tell your father you disobeyed me, disobeyed your elders. You may be older than me, but you're not my elder. If you made it to the end of the video, thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share, and we will see you in the next video.